How's it going, guys? It's K Cars, and in this video we're going to be going over the all-new, much anticipated electric muscle car from Dodge. So earlier this week, you guys probably all saw the announcement and all the crazy press releases about this car, but Dodge actually did release their Dodge Charger Daytona SRT is what they're calling it. So of course right now it's still just a concept car, but just the fact that they actually did release the concept with a bunch of details about the car is, it's very exciting for the Dodge brand. And now, while I do think that it is very unfortunate that the whole car industry is moving to this way of electrifying literally everything, and they're literally calling an electric car a muscle car, I really do think that Dodge is really taking the right spin with this whole thing. So if all these different government regulations are forcing car manufacturers to get rid of their gas guzzling V8s and switch over to completely electric, then I really do think Dodge is taking the right approach to this and keeping the car enthusiasts in mind with this whole new EV muscle car that they're calling it. So first of all, I do want to talk about some of the details and pretty much everything that we know right now about this concept. So one thing that does kind of make me excited for this car, and to be honest, I never thought I'd be saying that I'm actually excited for an EV, but this one I actually am excited for because, in my opinion, they're doing it right. And now, like I said before, they really had no choice but to go electric because of all the government regulations that are coming into play. So I really do think that they are doing this the right way, and like I said, keeping the enthusiasts in mind. So one thing that I like about this new car is that it actually does, or it's supposed to have actual gears. So from what I read is that it's supposed to have paddle shifters, and it's going to have like an actual geared transmission. So if you compare it to something like a Tesla or basically any other electric vehicle, those basically all just have one continuous gear. So there's really no kind of like soul or any kind of like personality to the car. And with this Dodge EV muscle car, it has an actual geared transmission with paddle shifters. So it's going to be a whole lot more fun being able to drive that car and actually shift through the gears, and actually be able to feel a car push you back whenever you shift the gear. And that's kind of what it's all about. So I really am excited that Dodge is actually doing that, and they did decide to actually make it a geared transmission to make it a lot more fun for enthusiasts. Now, the second thing that I really like about the EV muscle car from Dodge is that they actually did make it have sound. So I know one thing that car enthusiasts complain about with electric cars is that there's no soul to them, there's no sound or anything like that. All you hear is a tiny hum whenever you hit the accelerator. So there's really nothing to actually listen to. There's nothing that actually shows the car's personality or anything like that, especially if it doesn't have gears like all other electric cars these days. So with the EV muscle car, it's going to sound, it doesn't sound like an actual V8 obviously, but it sounds more like an electrified engine, I guess. I really don't know how to explain it, but here's a quick sound clip. So as you guys heard from that sound clip there, it actually doesn't sound too terrible. Now, obviously you can kind of tell that it is an electric car. It sounds nothing like a V8, but I do think that, at least they tried to do it, and I do think they got a good result from trying to give an electric car actual sound. And then what I actually find interesting about this is that they are claiming that it's going to be just as loud as a Hellcat. So I don't really know if I believe that right now until I actually hear one in person, but I don't think they're going to be able to make it as loud as a Hellcat that actually has a real V8. So not really sure what they're planning to do with that. One thing that I did read about the sound of this EV muscle car is that it's supposed to be 126 decibels. And what's weird about that is that where I live currently, we recently just got a new law stating that if your car's exhaust is 85 decibels or louder, then it's considered illegal. So, not really sure how that's going to work out for strict states that have, different exhaust, decibel levels that are, illegal. So, not really sure how that's going to play out, but I'm sure if a cop sees a car that's electric, they're probably not going to think too much of it if it's not an actual, engine making that sound. Now, I'm really not too sure how they're able to make this car sound, realistic, I guess. Obviously, it's not going to sound like a V8, even though that's what they tried to do. But that sound is completely computer generated, so it's not like they just made a really loud electric motor. It's all computer sounds, so it's not gonna it's not gonna be like an actual like, you're not going to be able to hear the personality of the engine, I guess. That's kind of what I'm trying to get at here. But, you know, I'm assuming that the computer sound is going to be all like connected with the gears and the whole transmission thing, so you can actually like hear it and feel it while you're shifting through the gears. So I think that's going to be very cool with the new EV muscle car. Then of course, if they want to compete with Tesla, they're going to have to make it all-wheel drive, which is exactly what they're doing. So of course, with the amount of power that this car is supposed to have, which rumored, we haven't heard anything like any kind of details about the power level yet, but they did say it's going to outperform their most powerful V8s. So I don't know if that means, you know, 1,000 horsepower, but that would be very cool to actually have something to compete with the Tesla Model S Plaid. So obviously with that kind of power level, you kind of have to have all-wheel drive to actually be able to put the power down. So I think they made a very good choice of actually giving it an all-wheel drive system. You know, obviously calling it the Charger and making it all-wheel drive and electric obviously doesn't make any kind of sense whatsoever, because, you know, obviously the Charger is meant to be rear-wheel drive. You know, it's obviously supposed to be a V8 as well, but of course they have to be able to adapt to these times that we're in right now. I really don't think that they should be calling it the Charger, in my own opinion, because that's kind of like a insult to the actual Charger, in my opinion. So, you know, obviously they could have called it something else, but I do think that they're taking the right approach with their actual, like, how they're actually building this car. Now, this car is going to be powered by an 800-volt electric powertrain, which Dodge is calling the Banshee. And it's also going to have a push to pass button. So I'm guessing maybe like if you want to have a little bit of a boost of horsepower, you hit that button and it gives you a short boost of power. Not really sure why they couldn't just unleash the full power all the time without a button, but, you know, I think it's very cool that they're actually making it, you know, driver oriented like this. And I think it's, you know, it's a cool little thing to have a button like that just for fun. And also something interesting is that the original Charger Daytona was actually the first car to break 200 miles per hour on a NASCAR track back in 1970. So I don't know if that's kind of just a coincidence that they're naming it the Charger Banshee electric vehicle. I don't know, maybe if they're kind of hinting that it's going to be able to go 200 miles an hour or greater than that. If so, that would be, you know, a very good competitor to the Tesla, because as you guys all know right now, the Tesla Model S Plaid is actually limited to, I believe, around 162, 163. Now, they might be releasing some kind of software update to raise that top speed, but I think if Dodge is able to beat that top speed of the Model S Plaid, that would be a huge win for Dodge. So overall, I think it's going to be a very good competitor to the Tesla. And now let's go ahead and talk about the interior of the all-new Charger Daytona. So of course it's going to be, you know, I think it's going to look very good, and you can see some of the pictures of the concept interior here. Now it's supposed to have a curved 16-inch digital dial display and also a 12.3-inch infotainment screen. So of course it's going to be, you know, obviously very modern, and of course they had to throw in some carbon fiber as well. So I think it's going to look very good on the inside. Whenever I first looked at the interior pictures, I thought, to me, it kind of looked like the inside of a Polaris RZR, which is, you know, not even a car, but it kind of just reminded me of those like straight edges in the steering wheel, and kind of like the whole interior kind of just looked like the inside of a RZR for some reason to me. But after taking some closer looks at it, I really do think it looks very good, very modern, very driver oriented as well, which is what I love about, you know, any kind of cars that have that kind of orientation. So I think overall it's going to look very good, and it's going to be, you know, a very driver oriented interior as well. And then of course for this EV, they're also making it a two-door, which is kind of a throwback to the original Charger. Now, overall, my thoughts, I absolutely love this concept model of the, you know, EV muscle car, whatever they want to call it. And like I said in the beginning of this video, you know, it's unfortunate that the world is kind of coming to this where everybody has to be, you know, basically forced to get rid of their V8 engines and gas-powered engines and completely pivot to an electric vehicle for pretty much everything. So, you know, it's obviously not Dodge's fault. I'm sure if they could keep going, they'd make 2,000 horsepower production, you know, factory cars, whatever they could for as long as they could. But unfortunately, the times that we're in right now, I think they're adapting very well to this whole situation. And also, like I said before, making it very enthusiast based. And a few months ago, I did release a video saying how Dodge was going to be discontinuing the production of their V8s after the year 2023. And unfortunately, it turned out that that was actually true. So of course, 2023 is now the final year for V8s, and I think Dodge did announce that they are coming out with like 7 special edition Challengers and Chargers for the last year of their V8s. So if you've ever wanted to get a Charger or a Challenger, then 2023 is definitely the time to do it, because I think once those are gone, like once they stop production, I think they're going to appreciate and value a whole lot, because once V8s stop being produced, then it's pretty much the end. So if you've ever wanted to get one, now is definitely the time, because you only have one more year left. So it is very unfortunate that the V8s are going to be going away, but of course we have this electric muscle car to look forward to, and they're also supposed to be coming out with the new Hurricane engine, which is a inline 6 twin turbo. So they're going to have 2 different output levels of that engine. Of course, the standard output and the high output. The high output is actually going to have a higher horsepower level than the Scat Pack Challengers and Chargers. So last time I saw, I think it was a little bit over 500, and the Scat Packs have 485 crank. So obviously not a V8, of course. It's still an inline twin turbo. Really should not be going in a muscle car, but honestly, if I had to pick between the Hurricane inline 6 twin turbo or the electric muscle car, I have to say I'd probably actually go for the EV. Now that's only because I know it's going to be a crazy horsepower amount, and they are like I mentioned before, they're going to have the actual gears with the paddle shifters and actual sound. So I do think that the performance will make it worth it for me to pick the EV over the Hurricane engine. But of course, I would always pick a V8 over any of those two. So I kind of thought that, this whole EV muscle car thing would drive a lot of their original fans away from the whole Dodge brand, because they didn't really think that an electric vehicle would be any kind of fun, including myself. I really didn't think that a EV could be fun in a way that V8 cars are fun. Now, of course, it's fun to be able to be the fastest car on the, track or the street or anything in an electric car. That's basically how it goes. But, to actually be able to enjoy the car and actually feel the car, have a personality with the car. If there's any car manufacturer that can do that to an electric car, it's definitely going to be Dodge. So I do think that they're taking the right approach to this whole EV muscle car thing. I definitely think they could have called it something else, not the Charger or a muscle car at all. But yeah, I do think that's going to be a very good competitor to the Tesla Model S Plaid, especially considering that they did mention it's going to have a power level higher than any of their current production V8s, and it's going to be, of course, all-wheel drive as well. I didn't see any details about the weight of the car, but electric cars usually do weigh a little bit more than gas-powered cars. So you can look at the Tesla. I'm not sure exactly how much those weigh, but I think they're somewhere around like 5,000 to 6,000, where a Hellcat is around 4,400, I think. So EVs definitely are a little bit heavy, but they make up for that with the their insane amount of power and torque and no lag time to actually get up to RPMs. So speaking of RPMs, I'm not really sure what they're gonna do with the whole transmission thing to make it actually have gears, because it's kind of like a weird concept to even think about, like an electric motor to have gears. But it's kind of a weird concept, but I'm really excited to see how it actually plays out. And I'm also wondering if you're downshifting, will that just kind of work like regenerative energy, like how if you hit the brake it kind of like recharges the battery. I don't know if it's going to be that type of thing, like that type of gears where it kind of like slows you down when you downshift and like recharges the battery. But that would be very cool, and it would be cool to actually if they could, I guess, program in some kind of like burbles or pops on downshifts. I'm sure it's possible if they can introduce like a computer generated engine sound. I'm sure they can do anything. So it would definitely be cool to see what they come out with and what the actual production model looks like. One thing that's cool also about the front end is that it kind of basically does have a spoiler in the front end. If you look at a picture here, you can see the light bar area, and kind of like above that or below it, you can see it has holes. So that's of course for aerodynamic purposes as well. So at my first glance at the car, I'm really not a huge fan of how it actually looks, but that's kind of how it goes when a new car comes out. Usually people aren't fans of the looks of it, but it just takes some time to grow. So that's exactly how I was with the new Supra. Whenever it first came out, I was not a fan of how it looked, but now I think it looks great. It's a good looking car in my opinion. So hopefully with this new EV muscle car, it'll kind of be the same concept where I'm not like a huge fan of how it looks, but I think it'll grow on me whenever the production model actually comes out, and really hoping to be able to see one in person, because I definitely do think that it's going to be basically reset the whole standard for performance, which is of course what they did back in 2015 when the Hellcat came out. And they just keep, like, setting higher standards every time they come out with a new vehicle, or pretty much anything. So definitely let me know your thoughts about the new Dodge Charger Daytona SRT electric muscle car. I definitely want to hear your opinions on this car down below in the comments, so definitely let me know. And if you guys have any questions or comments, make sure to drop those down in the comment section below. And if you guys have any video suggestions for videos you would like to see in the future, also drop those down in the comment section below. And if you guys like this video or found it entertaining, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.